What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Betty Chen with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. 6 U.S. lawmakers have arrived in Taiwan. It's the latest in a string of high-profile visits by U.S. government officials. The delegation is expected to meet with President Tsai Ing-wen online. That's because she's in isolation after coming in contact with someone confirmed to have COVID. The bipartisan delegation is led by Bob Menendez, a Democrat from New Jersey, who is the chairman of the Senate's Foreign Relations Committee. He has long shown strong support of legislation promoting Taiwan's defense. The other 5 members of the delegation are Republican lawmakers, including Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. The visit comes amid strained relations between Taiwan and China. Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu said Thursday that foreign officials who support Taiwan are always welcome, but he declined to give details of the visit. A group of Swedish lawmakers visiting Taiwan says it will propose setting up a House of Sweden in Taipei. That would be an upgrade of the country's current representative office.
We have just passed a resolution in the Swedish Foreign Relations Committee where we have decided across the party lines to strengthen our presence here in Taipei. So we will pass a decision in the Riksdag, in the Parliament next week, I think it is, which means that we will open a House of Sweden in Taipei. I think that's a very specific, very concrete way of showing our relations are excellent and that we want to be here in order to learn, in order to support, and in order to develop our relations.
The comments came Thursday after meetings with President Tsai Ing-wen and other top government officials. Doc Toussaint says the purpose of the 5-day trip is to show that Taiwan is not alone. Right now, Taiwan has just 14 official diplomatic allies. That's due to opposition from China, which sees Taiwan as part of its territory and opposes its international participation. Another member of the delegation, Deputy Speaker of the Swedish Parliament, Kirsten Lundgren, says the group received a threatening letter from China before they came to Taiwan. She says that letter confirms the visit was the right thing to do. Taiwan semiconductor giant TSMC has posted record 45% growth in earnings this quarter, surprising most analysts. The company's net income for January through March was just shy of $7 billion. TaiwanPlus reporter James Chater spoke to Brett Simpson of Arid Research in London to ask how TSMC's quarterly statistics stack up against previous results.
Well, it was a record quarter for TSMC. I've been looking at this company for over 10 years, and I've never seen a Q1 see this revenue growth compared to Q4. I mean, it was a double-digit revenue growth quarter, which is very unusual. Normally, Q1 is seasonally weaker, but this was very strong. I think the most important thing in terms of the results that TSMC delivered this morning was they're not changing capital expenditure. You know, CapEx is going to change. It's going to stay at a $40 to $44 billion range. I think that's really important as a sign of confidence about the growth outlook beyond this year, because there's a big debate within the investment community about semiconductor being cyclical, and we're sort of in a peak environment right now. But if you're spending that type of capex this year and it's unchanged, I think that's a sign of confidence around how you see 2023 and beyond playing out at present.
We have seen, though, nonetheless, that kind of TSMC's share price has fallen a little bit in the last couple of months. And there have been some concerns that investors are going to be withdrawing from Taiwan amid geopolitical concerns, and also kind of concerns around expectations that the Fed is going to raise interest rates. Do we see any of those pressures in this earnings report?
So I think there's a couple of key issues that investors are focusing on. One is when you have these kind of peak conditions, and semiconductor is a cyclical business, you tend to see investors reduce their holdings in anticipation of a more difficult backdrop beyond the current peak conditions that we're seeing right now. I think for TSMC, there's an added question, as you mentioned, about geopolitics. Almost 100% of TSMC's wafer production is in Taiwan. I think investors want to see that get diversified over time to reduce the geopolitical risk that we see right now. And that's going to be an ongoing question that management is going to have to address.
Taiwan reported 982 cases of COVID-19 on Thursday, with 874 of those domestic cases. Taiwan has also released new rules, with hospitals prioritizing severe cases and 4 groups, including people over 70 years old. Apr.14 has the details.
Taiwan's health officials say the country is at the start of a new COVID-19 infection wave. That's after reporting triple-digit new cases every day for the past week. In the capital city of Taipei, government officials are encouraging concerned citizens or those who believe they have come in contact with someone who was infected to get tested.
在中山区，我们可能就会发在各个比较热区的地方，让健康服务中心提供给民众他自己有疑虑的部分来筛，所以它当然没有特别的强制性。
Recently, Taiwan has seen a spike in the number of reported cases fueled by the Omicron variant. That's despite Taiwan's high vaccination rate. 84% of the country's 23 million people have had their first dose, while 80% are fully vaccinated with 2 jabs, and more than 53% have received their booster shot. Out of the almost 5,000 domestic cases that Taiwan has reported this year, 99% have been asymptomatic or mild. And in cities like New Taipei, officials are crafting their policy to manage infections based on this data.
所以我们全力以赴，让居家照护变成我们4级照护服务的第一关，能够守住我们的无症状、轻症的确诊个案，然后再来是做集中检疫，再来是专责病房以及后端的这个加护病房。
With officials preparing for an expected spike in cases, Taiwan hopes it can keep the number of severe cases and deaths at a minimum, while at the same time easing into a world where we learn to live with the virus. Klein Wong and Apr.14 for TaiwanPlus.
There are more than 15,000 temples in Taiwan dedicated to hundreds of gods and folk heroes. In many of them, the most significant features are the remarkable paintings. Today, we meet a man who dedicated his life to creating these works of art.
今年71岁了，本人呢是苗栗县大兰镇大兰爷。 有个机缘呢，係那個我師傅來從石港來到大蘭鵝龍廟呢，那個採訪。經過我出家前前阿伯介紹，同阿伯講，我對了寺廟有興趣，所以呢，我師傅就收留我聽佢學習。當然，學習的部分呢，辛苦也非常的多啦。去學習面對。 那个采发的问题呢，所以去个认真上忙达标。新人发部分呢，有挺多的看难画啦。我这个通货方面呢，马也挺难画啦，通货多方面的建设呢。做起的施工师傅传下来的画笔，喺手工做边的笔的条模呢。 去做的，这下呢，其他的进步呢，全部用水彩笔的。做起的色料呢，全部呢，砂矿的色料去做的颜料，掺桐油，这个搅出来的。但是呢，时代的进步呢，淘汰掉你呢，也是全部是用水性油漆这个彩法。我呢，这下呢，已经做有51年的。 做到2下，喊你啊做采花先呢，从头做到80岁了呀。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Betty Chen. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today, have a look at the world's oldest gorilla, Fatu, celebrating her 65th birthday at Berlin Zoo. Take care and see you next time.